What's up, moviegoers? Welcome to the Marchio Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony. In today's episode of the Marchio Podcast, I'm talking about Leprechaun 2. Yes, the sequel to the 1993 surprise hit, Leprechaun. Now, Leprechaun 2 was released a year later in 1994. And get this was the last Leprechaun movie to be released theatrically. Can you believe that? It only took 2 movies, and that was it. The movies after this went straight to DVD or straight to direct-to-video. Now, in Leprechaun 2, Warwick Davis does return in the role of the Leprechaun, and this is categorized as a black comedy slasher film, and the film centers on a psychopathic leprechaun who hunts for a bride, and basically that's the entire movie. He's just basically hunting for a bride. That's it. Now, here's the thing. It's not known if this is the same Leprechaun character from the first movie, because nothing is mentioned of the characters in the first movie at all. So you can say that Leprechaun 2 is its own standalone movie. And as I said, this entire movie is basically him just trying to look for a bride. There are a lot of interesting factors in this, especially the way it starts out where he celebrates his 1000th birthday and he's trying to look for a bride and this and that, and he gets jealous for someone else getting married and so forth. And it's just interesting because the starring character in this movie is just Warwick Davis. If you look at the credits or look at anything, it just says Warwick Davis, and that's it. I mean, at the box office, the movie grossed only $2.5 million and was released, a year later in April of 1994. And the running time for it is only 85 minutes long. So it's a very short movie, and it's a very, very quick and easy watch. Now, here's the thing. The reception for this movie was horrible at the time. It was really, really terrible. Now, it's stated that in a Fangoria interview, they asked Warwick Davis why he returned in the sequel, and he stated, quote, "Money's definitely the answer," unquote, alluding to a pay increase for the role as the tutorial villain. So basically, Warwick Davis came back because he got paid a little bit more money than he did in the first movie. And like I said, basically, it's just about a leprechaun looking for a bride. I really find that this movie should not be categorized as a slasher movie at all. It is definitely a comedy, but it's not a horror movie. Some of the shit that happens and some of the stuff in it is just, it's like wait a minute. Did the leprechaun really just do that? Because that's about it. That's what happens, and that's it. There is an interesting scene where the leprechaun is riding a go-kart, and that whole go-kart scene is funny. He kills someone with a go-kart, and it's interesting because this go-kart scene is just weird. It's funny, and the way the scene was shot was interesting. I would love to know how they shot that scene. And like I said, it's just a fun movie to watch. It's interesting. Now the whole aspect of how things played out, and it's interesting because the way the movie starts, it kind of ends in the same fashion of how it started. Same location in a way, but differently done. So when you open up a movie like that, and then you close it almost in the same location where it looks the same, it's really good. Yeah, it's continuity. It makes sense, and it closes out the story. Like I said, this movie is just terrible. It's a terrible sequel, and it was the final Leprechaun movie to be released in theaters. So that's definitely saying something. And if a movie only has 2 movies out and both of them only see that release in theaters, then that this is not going to work at all. But yet another film was made after this, Leprechaun 3, which I will talk about in my next episode of the Marchio Podcast. So let me know in the comment section below what you thought about Leprechaun 2, if you saw it and if you checked it out. And if you haven't, will you be checking it out? And what do you think about, this being its own standalone movie, like I said in the beginning of this episode? Because none of the characters from the first movie are mentioned, and we don't know if this is the same leprechaun from that movie. So let me know in the comment section below what you think about the questions I just asked. And be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new videos and new podcast episodes on the Marchio Productions YouTube page. And follow Marchio Productions on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And follow me, Anthony, your host, on Instagram and Twitter at misterfilmstock. And follow the Marchio Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll leave a link to all the social media accounts in the description box below. You can check it out and follow along. All right, everyone, that does it for today's episode. I'm your host, Anthony. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, don't worry. I'll be gentle with her on our wedding night.